Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spirit Wisdom Wednesday, where we gather here together in the healing space and allow some beautiful spirit wisdom to flow through. If this is your first time here, warmest welcome to you, beautiful soul. My name is Meredith, and this is my heart-centered business called The Healing Hummingbird. What I love to do is help healers and nurturers reclaim their power, heal their grief, so they can live their highest destiny. So I'm so glad you're here. And the topic for today's reading is all about your gifts and talents. So I'm so excited about this one. They wanted to do something kind of light and exciting. Around this time last year is when we first started doing Spirit Wisdom Wednesday. And one of the first topics we did was birthdays. So I can feel that birthday energy starting to come in again. So let's take a couple deep breaths together, just centering in our heart spaces and also consenting to be part of this reading. When I ask for your permission to read you, it opens up the space for much deeper, more profound and evidential messages to come through. So that's always an intention I lay out here. So let's inhale in together. And exhale out. One more time. Inhale in. And exhale out. Inviting our spirit guides to come near us now. I feel like somebody's joy guide is already here. We're asking, which group holds my messages? You may get a color or a feeling. Anything at all. We're remaining open to how that message might come through, of which group is yours. Or you may feel drawn to one of the objects that I'm going to show you here today. So actually, I'm going to turn our background music down just a little bit because the objects that Spirit picked have sound, sacred sound. So group number 1, your object will be these Tingshas, and I will ring them for you. That's group number 1. Group number 2 has this antique kind of handbell, which sounds like this. That's group number 2. And group number 3 has the hummingbird rattle. There's also a lotus on the flip side. This is a rose quartz. And of course, the rattle sounds like this. All right, so we should have our groups selected. Let me move everything out of the way. And if you are watching the recording, feel free to pause the video here and take some time to figure out what pile you are most drawn to for your gifts and talents. And we will go ahead and get started. So let's get started with group number 1. If you chose the Tingshas with that sound, we are going to get your messages all about your gifts and talents. I'm going to turn our background music up for some ambiance. And let's get a clearer view. It's not the same as life purpose. This is like things that you are just naturally good at. So we're kind of hearkening back to childhood, things that you might have enjoyed back then. It feels like timing is important for group number 1, so maybe your gift will be related to timing and observing natural cycles. Okay. Nothing is yet set in stone. Very interesting first message to come out for group number 1. Okay, we're going to stop there. Let's see what else we have for you. Communication is key, new moon in Gemini. And it's time to release negativity, full moon in Scorpio. So the signs of Gemini or Scorpio could be significant to you in your sun, moon, or rising. I feel like you're very perceptive, group number 1. I feel like you're able to see and recognize the impermanence of things on the earthly plane. That might help you to prioritize things better. You feel spiritual to me, but also very communicative. So you could marry those two things. You could communicate with spirit. But it feels like there's a real flexibility about you, which I love that. I'm also a mutable sign. So I really love to feel flexible energy. Like you would be someone who is good at negotiating and kind of peering into the hidden desires of other people. But yeah, I feel like you're able to see both sides of pretty much any situation. Okay, let's continue to get more guidance here. Also seeing a lot of water in here. So you might deal with the emotional body really well. Okay, so for group number 1, Spirit, what do they need to know about their gifts and talents? What are they just naturally good at in this lifetime? It could be with this nothing is yet set in stone. You could be a very old soul, group number 1, and have lived many lives. So there's this deep knowing, this deep understanding about your energy that, you know, we don't have to figure every detail out right now. Like we have time. It feels like there's this patience about you. Okay, let's see. Allowing. Radical acceptance says yes to reality in any given moment. So what's needed can come next. I love that. I don't see that card very often. Karma. Ooh, there is nothing from a past life. We just talked about past lives and you being an old soul. That can't be addressed in the current life. Okay. I love that for you. I feel like you're really, really good at balancing energies. So a natural way that you might see someone doing this, you know, if you're not like a Reiki practitioner, you're not literally balancing energies. You might observe that someone is really good at dissipating tension in a room. So you might really know how to make people laugh. You might know how to break the ice and kind of ease tension. And it comes from this really intense presence that you bring with you everywhere. But you're still really easy to talk to though. So I feel like people would be comfortable coming to you and talking about their karma. So you might have had a lot of people approach you randomly, a lot of strangers approach you. Something that used to happen to me a lot when I was traveling is people would ask me for directions just because they feel that I'm helpful and my energy is approachable to them. So you might have experienced that as well. Let's get some spirit animal guidance in here for you, group number 1. Let's learn more about group number 1's gifts and talents, Spirit. What else? What else do you have to share with group number 1 about their gifts and talents? Okay. One more, I think. It's so interesting because I feel like Gemini and Scorpio are very different energies, where it feels to me, and I'm a Gemini moon, it feels like Gemini likes to keep it moving, likes a lot of energy, needs a lot of mental stimuli, where Scorpio has almost like this, I know this is like a stereotype, but it feels like more of a brooding kind of energy, like let me ruminate on these things, let me really think about it. So it feels like a Scorpionic energy would have a harder time letting go of things than Gemini. So it's this really interesting dichotomy within you, group number 2. Very complex energy. So first we had Eagle that came out. That's a master air sign in this deck. Then we had Golden Egg. Ooh, love that for you. And then lastly, we have Buffalo. Okay. I feel like your perception is so on point, possibly even heightened. I feel like you're just able to see almost like through people That might come off as a little bit intimidating. If you are familiar with human design, you might be a projector. I'm a projector. And that means that we are able to penetrate other energies with our energies. And that means we make great therapists. We're great one-on-one, but it needs to be invited. It needs to be consensual because it can feel very, very deep and very, very intense. And I can see here with Eagle, you have mastered communication. So your biggest strength I'm seeing is definitely communication and perception. Clear communication, clear perception. When I see the buffalo, I usually, and I'm going to say this time too, it's confirmed that you're getting spirit messages. It's like you've learned to allow those to come through. And through your own karmic heart healing, you're able to receive more spirit messages. So you could have found that a lot of your romantic relationships or even deep familial ties have been karmic, which just means there's a lot of lessons to learn. It doesn't mean anything is necessarily bad, but it does imply challenge. With Scorpio here, though, I can see that you're really good at transformation, and that you've learned to embrace that. So it feels like you might help other people through that journey. You might talk to them about their heart healing. Again, I'm getting therapist for you, therapy vibes. Great one-on-one. You would be a great mentor. And I feel like you would help people. I feel like you're an ideas person, someone who always has ideas of what to do next. You might even be really good at helping students figure out what they want to major in. And I feel like you'd be good at recruiting too. Figuring out next steps in the cycle seems to be a really easy thing for you, which is amazing because I haven't heard many people talk about that being easy for them. But it's that perception that you have as the eagle. You're able to see things from really high up, but also zoom into the details when you need to. So that's amazing. Let's get more information about these gifts and talents. Let's see how else they might manifest for you. Okay, group number 1, gifts and talents. I feel like you might downplay your gifts and talents, group number 1. You might be like, no, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. That's that Gemini coming out again, is like wanting people to feel comfortable around you. So you might kind of try to dissipate compliments. You might have a hard time. You might want to reflect those back like, oh, no, no, no. You know, you don't need to compliment me, or, oh, no, don't buy me that. That's okay. So I feel like that's less about there. I mean, there could be a self-deprecating thing going on here, but I feel like it's more about wanting the energy around you to feel really malleable. So very interesting dynamic. I really like you, group number 1. I hope we're friends. And if we're not already, can we be? Okay, we have the Rattle, number 43. It's interesting the Rattle came out for a group that did not have the Rattle. And the Sacrifice, number 44. Oh my gosh, you got 43 and 44. Yeah, that definitely lines up with the messages that we were going over that had to do with cycles. Figuring out the next step is very easy for you when you are doing it for other people. Let's specify that. With Sacrifice, I really feel, and with Scorpio here, it's time to release negativity. I feel like you're willing to let go of things. I feel like you, even though it feels like you would experience your emotional body very intensely, perhaps you're empathetic. You're also, because of that intensity, you're willing to let go of it when you are asked to. So if you need to put your ego aside to make a decision, or maybe you don't like somebody, maybe somebody rubs you the wrong way, but you know that it would be beneficial to work with them anyway, I feel like you're able to set that aside and do it, which is really beautiful. I also feel like it's part of your karma to let go. So perhaps in a past life, you decided, my next lifetime, I'm going to focus on healing myself. And I feel like you're really honoring that, which is amazing. And I also feel like with this Rattle, I feel like you're leading the way for other people. So maybe this is totally different than what other people in your family have done. But I feel like you're able to kind of tune out the haters is what I'm hearing. Maybe there's people in your family that really don't get it, and that's okay. Okay, I feel like we're going to get some tarot for you. I wasn't sure if we were going to go there, but I'm feeling like tarot is the way to go right now for group number 1. With their gifts and talents, Spirit, what else do we need to know about that? Let's start to sum this up. Let's start to ground this. Whoa, that just flew across the table. All right, what else for group number 1 with their gifts and talents? Oh, that one flipped over too. We're gonna take that and then we'll knock and cut. Okay, we'll put her over here, ready to cut, and let's flip these over. The Hierophant, yeah, I'm definitely feeling advisor for you. 6 of Cups, working through memories from childhood. You might help to heal the inner child. Knight of Cups, very approachable, very warm and compassionate energy. Very trustworthy energy is what you would emanate to people you are here to help. And Strength, yeah, incredible personal fortitude. And you have 2 major arcana here. I'm definitely getting the deep desire and need to serve other people. And this might sound strange, but if you're in this group, maybe this would make sense. Almost like if you were a child, as a child, people might have asked you your opinion for things, which is really strange. That's not usually a typical dynamic that a child would experience, but there's this deep strength and fortitude within you, and this kind of divine awareness, this structure, this assuredness and groundedness within you that made people feel like it was okay to talk to you, maybe even in times when it wasn't appropriate. So an example of this would be maybe if there's a conflict at home or between 2 family members, maybe even your parent, one parent might ask you what you thought, which again, totally not okay. I feel like you would realize that now, like that's not cool to talk to your child about that, but there's just this very strong presence within you. There's this mastery presence that other people can feel. It's like they almost can't help themselves to approach you and ask you for advice. So, Divine Advisor, group number 1 with the gift of verbal communication and divine messages, here to lead and help other people through their karma. I hope that was helpful. Please let me know if it resonated. Those were your messages if you chose the Tingshas. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay, let's get started with group number 2. If you chose this bell, let's get your messages about your gifts and talents in this lifetime. Actually, they want to start with a deck that I don't believe we got out for group number 1, so different right off the bat. Let's see what we've got here for group number 2. With your natural gifts and abilities. I'm already seeing, you know how little kids can like mine for rocks and they get this tiny little satchel of gemstones. I'm seeing those. So it feels like there's a connection to crystals here for group number 2. I was obsessed with those. Obsessed with those. Okay. Feels like there might be a generational element coming up for group number 2. Let's see what Spirit has to say about your gifts and talents. Okay, Elder. Oh, we just said a generational ancestral pattern coming up. Wow. Let's see what else we have for you. The Moon. Take note of intuitive messages. And Eagle, see from a higher perspective. We had Eagle from a different deck in group number 1. So you might have been torn between these two groups. I would recommend giving both of them a listen if you ever find yourself in that position. So it feels like moving beyond ancestral patterns. I feel like you're doing something that's different than your ancestors. It's either totally something that your ancestors did. So for example, if you know that your ancestors were teachers, maybe you teach in a totally different way. Maybe they taught college and you're teaching like a really interesting, what's that called? Montessori school? That came through for some reason. Maybe you're like, I don't have a lot of information about what that is, but there's something more tactile about this methodology of teaching. So maybe you're doing something loosely related to ancestors, but it's like through a different lens. I hope that makes sense. And it looks like there is some observation of the patterns of ancestors that you're able to observe and then sort of break free from. There's this freedom element to you, group number 2. It feels like you really strive for freedom. It feels like you're very hungry for freedom. So maybe through part of your life, you didn't feel free. But it feels like focusing on that is really important for you. You might advocate for the freedom of other people. Okay. Oh, that was fast. Let's see what that was. Liberation. Oh my gosh. Wow. What a great synchronicity. Very synchronistic group, I have to say, for group number 2. The doubts and fears still come up. You don't believe anymore that they're you. I love that for you. And then we also have extraordinary. Wow. There's a wild and impetuous uniqueness to you that it deserves to be honored. Yeah. Wow. So what beautiful confirmations of the messages that we were already channeling, this deep value of freedom, this desire to free other people. You might be able to observe negative cycles in a really specific way that other people aren't able to perceive for themselves. I'm just really getting this teacher vibe for you, group number 2. So where group number 1 would have been more of like a therapist, I feel like you are more of a teacher. And it maybe even like art teacher. I'm getting art teacher vibes here. Like really encouraging students to express themselves and have the freedom to express themselves. Okay, let's see here. And anytime I see a peacock, I always get a hit about designing. So you might have a really fine eye for art and design. Maybe even theater, you know, peacock feathers, there's actually a superstition with theater. I won't get too much into that here, but you might have a tie to fine arts and theater. Okay, you have the octopus. Let's see what else. I feel like there's one more for you. Group number 2 with the bell. Also hearing the name Chelsea. I don't know if that's significant to anybody here. Okay. Group number 2, gifts and talents. The golden egg again. Wow. Okay, I'm actually going to pull one more off the top to differentiate that. So that did come out with group number 1. Beaver. Oh. Okay, and this is unbalanced. We're going to have to do one more. We're going to reshuffle. That might really bother you if something is visually unbalanced. Group number 2. So it feels like aesthetics are really important for you. Design might be very important for you. Okay, let's get one more for you. We'll balance this out. Firefly. Wow, really beautiful energy here. Okay, so let's unpack this. I'm going to start over here. There's a little bit of a shadow element with the octopus. Now with the octopus, This is always someone who's very, very intelligent, really open to communications. However, the octopus tends to overreach boundaries and have their arms in many, many things at all different times. So there's a message with this firefly in relation to the octopus. There's this invitation to kind of slow that down, because the message of the firefly is like momentary miracle bliss. And it's like, if we're overextending, if we're spreading ourselves across like 8 different very involved relationships, or 10 different classes or something, you might miss it. You might miss the things that you're already setting up for yourself. And it feels like there's really extraordinary cycles that are kind of like mounting for you. So that's kind of a specific message here for you, group number 2. It's like, even though you're good at multitasking, we don't always have to multitask. You might actually miss the beauty and how special the present moment is. So there might be a pattern here. There might be an ancestral pattern of avoidance by staying busy. It's just something to be aware of. And then over here with beaver and golden egg, everybody loves beaver. Beaver is so happy. Beaver is reliable. Beaver holds down the fort for everybody. Everybody loves to have a beaver in their life. They're a great friend. They're a great family member. And I can see with this golden egg that you're very deeply loving, that you freely share your heart energy with other people when you feel liberated to do so. So this group particularly, since you really value freedom, you might consider being an entrepreneur or doing something that allows you to be very flexible with this octopus energy up here, because it feels like you could flip into this other, and so this might be a Sagittarius moment. I can really relate to this as a Sag, because if I'm feeling trapped or controlled in a way that doesn't feel fair, it's really difficult for me. I will really rebel hard against that. And I'm sure my mom could confirm that for you. So you might have seen a similar cycle in yourself. I'm also feeling something with the throat chakra with you too, group number 2. So that might be something to look into, balancing the solar plexus and throat chakras together. It's like when you're feeling good and empowered in yourself, then you allow yourself to speak. So I'm seeing a lot of myself in this group, honestly. They're asking me to talk about my own experience. I have a lineage of silent family members. That's just something that was agreed upon a really long time ago. And it's on both sides of my family. And I've got to tell you, it can be tough to overcome. But if you crave freedom and liberation like I do, it will be, you'll just get it no matter what. So I really love that about you. I love how determined you are. Okay. Let's see what else for group number 2 in their gifts. We have nothing is yet set in stone again. So I feel like that's a message about your ancestors. Yeah, they're coming through. A message of the elder as well here is your ancestors apologizing for any difficulties that they've left you here with. So that's a really sweet message that's coming through for you as well, group number 2. Let's see what else that we've got. The energy is gaining momentum. Yes, definitely picked up on that. And have faith in your dreams. Wow, no signs on these moons, which is a little unusual if you're familiar with this deck. So I feel like your gift and talent is that you value freedom unlike anyone else in your lineage, to the point where you're willing to do the work to free everyone of it. I feel like you would be a great teacher, like you would have an eye for design. Balance would really matter for you a lot. And I feel like you're comfortable with a lot of energy around you. Like you're comfortable with multiple projects going on at one time. You could even be like a creative director. I'm getting that for you, group number 2. Let's see. let's finish for you with the Shaman Oracle and see how else Spirit wants to round out your gifts and talents for group number 2. You might also be really good at helping people recover, group number 2. So that might be like an ancestral story of yours as one of recovery. So I feel like you are very non-judgmental, which is very important in a field like social work. Okay. We have the moon again. Oh my gosh. Very synchronistic group. And the vision quest, number 60. Yeah, I feel like you are a visionary. I feel like you're able to, you might even get like psychic downloads. You might even literally get visions. I feel like you're able to see a future that other people might not believe in. But it's not naive or too idealistic. It's real. Like you're able to perceive a big idea, a big plan. You're able to visualize a bigger, brighter version of what's already happening. And maybe you've come from a line of people who have had a hard time doing that. But it feels like they're here to help you work through that, to help resolve these cycles. Because you, my friend, are here to dream the world into being. That's like a big shamanic ideal of Dr. Alberto Villoldo, which is, I'm in that lineage of healers from him. There's a lot of us here now on earth who are dreaming a new world into being. You are one of those people. You are a visionary, very imaginative, valuing the freedom of humanity above everything else, basically, which I absolutely love that for you. Very free spirit. So I hope that resonated. I hope that was helpful. Those are your gifts and messages for those of you who chose group number 2 with the bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. All right, last but not least, let's get started with group number 3. If you chose the Rattle, let's get your messages about your gifts and talents from Spirit. Again, they want to start with the Angels and Ancestors deck. It feels like angelic energy is really strong right now. So I'm not sure, maybe there's just a lot of people invoking the energy of angels. Maybe you have a special connection with angels, group number 3. Okay, let's see. So for group number 3, gifts and talents for group number 3. Feeling very creative energy again for group number 3. Okay, let's see. I know you see that fox down there. Let's get a couple more for you. So first out we had fox, trust your talents in changing times. We also have oracle, wait for important information. And magic guardian, unlock the magic within. So I'm getting something for group number 3 that maybe you moved around a lot as a child, or there was a lot of changing energies around you as a child. You could have had a parent that traveled a lot, or could have even been like in armed forces or something. And it feels like there was a lot of unknown that you grew up around and have become very comfortable with. I feel like you're more comfortable than most people with not knowing an outcome. Which really is a strength in this day and age. With trusting your talents and then unlocking the magic within, you're able to really rely on yourself to create what you want. This is someone who is very powerful, and as they progress, as they get older in this physical life, they just become more and more and more empowered, reclaiming their power through every chapter of life. Absolutely love that for you. And I feel like you're very patient and open to how messages might come in. You probably do not get hung up on like rules or how you want to receive a message. Like if you say, hey, I want to dream of my departed loved one. if that doesn't happen for you and it comes through in a different way, maybe you smell smoke, for example. That's how I experienced my departed father. It feels like you may have experienced something like that was similar, but overall, you're open to how you receive messages. Very flexible. Okay, they want to get some abundance cards in here to further clarify your gifts and talents. Okay. Gifts and talents for group number 3. I'm hearing worth the wait, group number 3. So you might have trouble with clock time. But I feel like you're worth the wait if you find that you have a hard time just dealing with clock time. Maybe like being late is a theme in your life. Maybe you came late into the world. Maybe you were expected at a certain time and it was delayed for some reason. So that's kind of funny. All right, let's see. Gifts and talents for group number 3. Signs. We were just talking about how you perceive signs and how you're open to something different happening than what you requested. Wow, what an amazing synchronicity. Instincts are the messages from the inner divine. Oh yeah, girl. Okay. Worth. Did I not just say worth the wait? Oh my gosh, your spirit guides are on fire, group number 3. You have been worthy to belong to love all along without any need to improve. In fact, you are love itself. That's beautiful. Yeah, it feels like through the challenges in early life, you've turned inward and upward. So by that, I mean like trusting the inner divine and then also looking up to the universe for your signs and synchronicities. And I feel like you really, really receive them powerfully. And that's why you're comfortable waiting, because you know that when you do get a sign, it's going to be like lightning. It's going to be really strong. So that's amazing. I'm also noticing that both of these ladies are holding bowls of holy smoke. So clearing might be something that you're really good at. That's something to look into. Maybe you would be really good at house clearings. That kind of comes along with someone who has moved a lot as well. I've openly talked about how often I have moved in my life. It's been like more than 15 times as an adult. You know, I wasn't moved around as a child like that, and then I found later in my life, I realized, oh, I'm clearing houses, and now I do house clearings as a shaman. You might find that you are doing something similar. Group number 3. Okay. I feel like you are able to remain present through times of great change. So even during this COVID area, it feels like you've really had your bearings about you. You might have even supported other people emotionally and mentally during this time. Okay, so we had summer, bask in joy and light, and warrior, be fearless and stand strong. I'm getting earth sign vibes from you. Group number 3, you feel like someone who has really fought for stability and fought for the opportunity for you and your family to be happy, which is definitely like very earth sign story. I'm getting Capricorn, it's giving Taurus, it's giving Virgo, all the earth signs are here. So take a look at your chart. That might be your sun, moon, or rising. Yeah, it just feels like part of the story here is this willingness to fight. This not only to fight, but to stand up and face situations head on. So you might have been quite a dynamo of a kid. You probably gave your parents a run for their money. Or you were just willing to stand up and ask for things that other people were scared to ask for, or do things that other people were scared to do. But it's all in the pursuit of joy. It's all in the pursuit of happiness. But the bee, as a spirit animal, is very dedicated, you know, building these very delicate structures takes a lot of time, and the bee doesn't mind doing that. And I feel like you are comfortable waiting as well. Very patient, very dedicated to your craft and your career. But it's not like, I'll call myself out here, because I feel like you're different from me in this aspect. I can get really uncomfortable in a job if I feel like what I'm doing doesn't matter. That can get really upsetting to me, and I might really push the boundaries and figure out a way to break out of that situation. I feel like you are much more steady, much less reactive than I would be. You're able to hold your ground, hold your bearing, and understand, like, I'm here for me. I'm here to cultivate and support my own joy. And it's okay if I am temporarily not super psyched about what I'm doing. So I love that for you. Let's get some spirit animals for you, group number 3. It's like you came here, you came out of the womb already really patient, which is really funny. But that doesn't mean you like let just anything happen. You know, like you'll go toe to toe with people, but you're willing to wait for a good answer. You're willing to wait for a good outcome. You're in it for the long haul. Yeah, which as a fire sign, I have a hard time doing that sometimes. So I really admire that about you, group number 3. Okay. Let's get some spirit animals for you in here. We have Firefly. That came out in a previous group as well. And let's see. Scorpion. Ooh, okay. Okay, Scorpio vibes, obviously. Scorpio, even though they get a bad rap for being like, for like holding grudges, I have found that the Scorpios I actually know in real life are very, very deep. They have a deep and vast inner world, and they are able to stay in challenging situations because of that for much longer than other people. So I actually don't find Scorpios to be really reactive. So that still lines up with how I was describing you earlier. You're able to really dedicate yourself to perhaps like a career that maybe that's a message in here for you as well. Like realizing, oh, you know, this job isn't super fun right now, but that's okay because I have my own personal goals that maybe nobody else needs to know that I work with. You might be a little mysterious. Group number 3. I love that for you. But with Firefly, I feel like you're so steady that, and you keep your head down and get your work done. But this was another message in a different pile as well. Make sure you look up though every once in a while so that you don't miss these little glimmers of light. You might actually see like orbs of light around you at different times, I'm hearing. Okay, let's get more cards. I feel like you're somebody who's comfortable with silence as well. You're just really comfortable with change, more so than any other group. You kind of thrive in change. So it almost feels like, if you're in group number 3, it feels like you came into this life in adversity, and therefore you're just comfortable in adversity. It's not intimidating to you. Believe in the impossible. And emotions are running high, supermoon. I feel like you are so able to push past that though. So even if you do experience really deep and intense emotional states, you're able to completely hang that hat at the door and go do your work, which is incredible. Just the sheer will and force behind group number 3 is very impressive. I would say very rare as well. Okay, I feel like we need some shaman guidance cards here. Group number 3 with their gifts and talents. So definitely a self-assured nature. Definitely observes signs from the divine and is very patient. Does well in adversity and changing times. Let's get more specific, Spirit, with group number 3. It's a very complex group here. Okay. All right. So let's get the one that fell over first. We have the sacrifice. There's so much repetition in all of these groups. The spiral, number 50. The sun, 53. Okay, we're going to stop there and kind of adjust these a little bit. So with the spiral, they actually want me to talk about a technique that's used in shamanism called the death spiral. I know that sounds like really scary, but it's really sacred actually. And I feel that it's connected to your energy. So when someone is experiencing the death process physically, what we can do is we can unlock the chakras and lift their spirit out of their body so that they don't have to perceive the physical death. So it really helps to clarify the transition process for the dying, and it helps them get to where they need to be, get to the highest realm faster. And the way there's this specific pattern with the rattle, actually, that's done with the rattle, and it's done in a spiral. It's called the death spiral. And so you may be very familiar with the line between living and death. You may have experienced a lot of loved ones passing away that has motivated you to studying something spiritual. I'm getting a very deeply spiritual aspect to this group specifically, with Scorpion here as well. Scorpio is usually really good at spiritual craft or any type of spiritual practice. But with sacrifice and the sun, I feel like you're okay with navigating shadowy aspects of humanity. You're comfortable talking about subjects that other people would look at as negative. So maybe you would be really good at like grief counseling or something like that. Lending an ear to people who are in really, really tough situations without judgment. So this is definitely like a shadow healer kind of aspect. I feel like you would move very heavy energy really easily. But it's really interesting though, because we have summer and the sun. So it's like you're willing to look in the dark because you know the expansive happiness that comes afterwards. So that is really beautiful, group number 3. And overall, it just feels like there's this quiet wisdom about you wherever you go. It feels like you are yourself everywhere. Does that make sense? Like some people will have like a work personality or like a church personality or like a home personality. I feel like you are you everywhere. So I really, really love that about you, and I really appreciate that authenticity about you. All right, group number 3, the great transformer I'm hearing. I hope those messages were helpful about your gifts and talents. Those were your messages if you chose this rattle here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.